Hey, Professor Homa here, continuing our sketches and starting to make some ideas in Illustrator with Burger House and Breakfast Barn. And hopefully you took the time to watch the video and looked at some of the other logos to get ideas. And again, you're going to kind of come up with your own ideas here for Burger House and Breakfast Barn. And again, it's just practice. It's just kind of working out to get your design muscles kind of in shape for our restaurant logo that we're going to do. So this is just some practice here. And these were my sketches, and here I am in Illustrator. These are some ideas. This is what came out of Illustrator. I moved some around, so not everything's here, but these are my ideas in Illustrator. You can see this is the one where I used the silo, and I ended up opening it up so everything wasn't connected. I used this kind of big, kind of like fat, roundy kind of font here. I even took the bees and took out the circles of the bees and tried to make little pieces of toast. I don't know if it works or not, but these are just the ideas. They don't have to be perfect. We're just getting some ideas down. Here I ended up working with a chicken head, which I actually kind of traced something, a real kind of chicken head thing. And I used some kind of casual script fonts that I downloaded. I like this one kind of better. And again, this one was the one I used for Burger. I started with Burger House first. Now, Burger House was kind of simple. There's some ideas that look okay. People seem to like the burger with the little cheese in here. And I'll just go through doing some of these things. Like, for example, if you wanted to make a bun, how do you make a bun? And I'm going to move some of these things over a little bit, just go through some of this basic stuff with Illustrator. It's really that detailed, but one of the tools that I like in Illustrator is using the Pathfinder, because it's very easy, especially if you don't have a lot of experience with Illustrator. You could kind of chop up shapes a little bit without trying to draw it by hand. Now over here in my rectangle tool, I'm going to use my ellipse tool, which is the circle, and I'll just make a circle here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a square or a rectangle and go over top of this, and I'll just drag over it. Now if you take one shape over top of the other, now if I change the color on this, you can see that it's on the top of that, and this is the bun shape. What you could do is you could kind of chop these apart, and what I use is the Pathfinder. Now I don't see the Pathfinder over here, so I'm going to go to Window, Pathfinder, and there it is. It's floating over here. I'm just going to dock it over here, and there's Pathfinder, and I'm going to open up Pathfinder, and some of the main ones we're going to use are just these three down here. Unite, and this is minus front, and then there's intersect, which is going to find the intersection between the two. So if I want to do minus front, it's going to take the top one, chop this off, it's going to minus the front part and leave the back, which is the half a bun part, which is what I want. So these are closed shapes. I highlight both of them, and I'm going to use minus front, and there's my top of the bun. Now if I want the bottom of the bun, I can go over here, go in where it has rotate, but there's a reflect tool. Now, this isn't the easiest thing to use, but if you double click on the reflect tool, you could rotate on the horizontal axis. They make this confusing, but it's the axis that's horizontal, and then you can hit copy. So I made a flipped copy, and there I have kind of my top and bottom bun. You know, if I was going to do something with a bun. And for my area in between, I kind of made like a round. They have a round cornered rectangle in here. I made like a round cornered rectangle. If you don't like the way this is, you could click once and adjust this corner radius. Now I find this way a little bit confusing, so I'll show you a different way I make round cornered rectangles. I'll cancel this. That's a little more interactive, so I'm just going to make a triangle. I'm going to stay away from this round rectangle tool, and I'll make a just rectangle. That's my burger. Okay, and I'm going to go up to Effect. Now this is a temporary effect, so we may want to expand it if you want to mess with the anchor points or do anything else with. But this is an editable effect, and you would never think to look here for rounded corners, but it's under Stylize, Round Corners. And the reason I like it is because you could turn it on Preview, and then you could click this thing and you kind of see what the round corners look like. And I'll go down a little bit. That's a pretty good round corner. I'll make it go one more. And there's my burger. Okay, and then I'm just working in blacks and grays right now. These are just sketches, so I'll just make it a little darker so it looks like a burger. Okay, and how did I make that little piece of cheese? Well, let's move my bun off of here. And I just made a white rectangle, and I'll make it white, and I'll click off of here, and then I'll go and rotate it. If I go around the edge here, I could rotate a little bit, and I put the white thing on there just to kind of make that. Now you could leave it there and put this up front. Make sure you do Object, Arrange, Bring to Front if you want one of the objects on top of there. Now I could highlight these two and actually do a minus front, but what if I want to move the cheese? So I'll just leave it there right now and just put this on top. But it gives a little more distinction to my burger than just ovals. and I'm separating these enough so they work at small sizes. So that's all I did for my burger. For my house, they're just angles here. And you might say, well, I wouldn't know how to make a triangle. How do you make a triangle? Well, actually, if you go here and you make the easiest, well, there's a couple things. There's a star tool, there's a polygon. I'm going to go to, I'll just make a rectangle and make a square. I'll hold shift so it's a perfect square. And then I'll rotate it 45 degrees. I'll rotate it and I'll hold shift when I rotate so that it rotates and it goes to the next degree. So now what I have is a diamond shape. You might say, well, I wanted a triangle. Well, then if you put a rectangle over here, highlight them both, and do a minus front like I just did with the bun, then I have that little top. So there's my little house there, and then I just drew a rectangle on top of it, and I put the little chimney. That's how I got the burger house kind of thing. So that's where I worked with this. But again, I actually started working with the type. Now remember, with type in Illustrator, you want to click once, and type your type, and however you're going to do it, if you do that, then and do burger alone and then do house separate. So I'm going to do burger, scale it up. I don't know what font I'm going to use right now, but I'll stick this in here. I'll go into character, and character's nice because it'll show you what the fonts kind of look like. So I'll just take something real, there's something big and bold. So there's burger, big and bold. Now when you use this, you can actually use the arrow. You don't have to highlight. You can use the arrow and change the font. You can use the arrow, and you could hold shift on the corner and resize these things. There's burger. Maybe I'm going to copy this word down here. I'm going to put a house, and I'll just type house down here. Another thing you can do with the character, if you have a character palette, I don't know if I have them. There's my character palette. If you don't see it, go to Window, go all the way down to Type, and bring out your character palette. And what's nice about the character palette, it has little options in the corner for caps and things like that. So if you want to try and caps or turn off caps, you can do that. It also has tracking. You could spread letters out. For example, if I wanted to spread house out the same width of burger, I could go to the tracking and use some of these numbers here and spread it out just a little more. I can even do it by, I'm using this VA thing here because that's the tracking. It's just spreading it out. Maybe, and you could type numbers in. I'll go 130 and see how that looks. And it's probably going to need like 150. Okay, and there's burger house. That's good for now. Maybe I don't, maybe I want this something smaller, whatever, but maybe I want to de-emphasize it. So I'll make it gray or make it the same size as the house, and there's my burger house. It's an idea. It's not perfect, but it's just an idea. Move on to another idea. If you like what you're doing with the type, then try other things with the type. Do something with a burger. Very simple things here. And also one thing I'll show you how I did this house, and I didn't like it because it looked like a garage. But if I take this triangle, option drag, and make a copy here, one thing you can do, if you take this tool, the direct selection tool, you could work with the anchor points. You can grab these little things, and you have to, right now they're all selected, but if you click off and then hover over it, you can move these little anchor points around. And I'll just move it down like that. And the reason I mention that is you can click on this line on the path and hit delete. And you might say, well, what did that do? Well, if I switch this around, now I can actually have an open kind of path here. I can increase the stroke, and I did something like that to kind of create that house up there. You could make little rectangles too. You could make little rectangles to do, and rotate them if you find that easier. And I'll flip this around so it's a fill. This is a path with a stroke. This is just a fill, but you could use them together. And you could go in here on this little transform handle, make it a little narrower. But that's all I did with that. So the idea is just get these things together. I don't want them real detailed. Be as simple as you can. Remember, you want to see burger house. Maybe the whole idea of burger house, might not work. Maybe you just need and I'm option dragging. Maybe you just need a burger on there, and maybe a chimney on the burger house is all you need. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's a logo. Look at Burger King. That they didn't do much more than that. Okay, so that's Burger House. I think I'll stop here, and then I'll go over Breakfast Barn, some of the things I did on there a little bit for some Illustrator help.